Good morning, Rostam. Good morning, Cassie. Welcome. Mansdusik, welcome. That's it. How is everybody today? Sassy, welcome. David, welcome. Good morning. I hope you had a great weekend. Paul, welcome. Again, what we're talking about today, welcome, Felix. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. This is what we're going to be talking about today. I don't know if you can see that well, but I'm sure you've seen the 2 posts. I usually do them in 3s, so we're breaking it down in bite-sized pieces, but we'll give it a few minutes. I don't want to rush through it. Welcome, Anna and Cal. Welcome. I hope you're doing well. Let my hair down. My hair's a mess right now. Why do you want my hair down? You can see all my gray hairs? Well, I didn't brush it today, so it's probably not the greatest idea, but... Well, mine's not that long. I'll show you, but I gotta put it back up because it gets in my face and I don't like it. But it's kind of long. It's getting there, but it gets in the way, and then I don't keep it. It drives me nuts. But actually, the grays are going away. I only have a couple now. That's good. You only like long hair until it gets in your way, and then you'll change your mind very quickly. Welcome, Mark. All right, much better. We don't like to overdo it. All right, so if anybody has seen M. Fahad, welcome. If anybody's seen my content posted along the way throughout, you'll see my ads and my posts like this. And what we're doing basically is called my Fire and Flow series. So every 3 days I talk about it, and it's kind of something I worked out with my daughter. It's like the 3-bite theory. Like, our agreement is to try something, you have to have 3 bites. And if you absolutely hate it after that, then we'll make something else. So I've kind of put that same theory out. So I post the actual post that's just that, and with just let it sit in. And then the second day I do a voiceover with just some reflection questions. And that's just planting the seed to see, is there something maybe there that you could ask yourself that might help you in your healing journey? And then, of course, on day 3, then we come and we talk about it. And I'll do card pull, so Spirit gives you some help too. Cologne, welcome. So I try to do it so that there's a little more discussion, and it gives you a couple days to kind of get curious, because basically the Fire and Flow series is about transmutation, right? So we want to transform all this pain and trauma that we've been healing and we've been working so hard. We want to transform it and understand that we can absolutely use that as our power, right? That's what keeps us going and succeeding. Welcome, Renaud. So when we do it like this and we break it down, I call it the Fire and Flow series because it starts with rage and anger and those things that most people get stuck on. Well, I can't be possibly healing if I feel this much anger. Why do I feel this much rage? And it's because something hasn't been met. So when we break it down, basically we're peeling back to the layers so we can get to the space where we're actually healing, but we're healing with curiosity and with love, and it's so much easier to do that. Welcome, Chris Santos. So as we go through, NKL, welcome. As we go through, it's kind of just the idea of getting curious. It simply is just asking questions. But when we break it down, sometimes getting to that space where you understand what the question is can become very complicated, right? Welcome, Kayla. So my idea is if we can break it down even to just one or two bite-sized pieces, a couple questions to get curious, and ask yourself without judgment. Now when we peel back those layers, we're allowing that space to love ourselves, the good, the bad, and the ugly. MS, welcome, and Moonlight, welcome. So I'm going to read you the original ads in case you didn't get to see it, and then we'll kind of go through and we'll discuss some of the questions and some ideas, and then at the end I'll do a couple of card pulls. No tarot, mostly oracle cards, because they're great for self-care, self-love. How can I show up in the best way and love myself through these spaces? Because in the moment, it feels really hard and you feel like you're going backwards, but I promise you're not. Welcome, Jonathan and Esmera. And I don't know how to say your name, but welcome. All right, so we don't heal by pretending the darkness isn't there. We heal by inviting it in, by listening, learning, and letting it soften under love's gaze. Welcome, Donald. You don't have to destroy to release. When rage or sorrow rise, let them speak. Hear them, hold them, and honor them, because they're going to tell you something. You may not know right away, and it takes a little bit of practice, but once you start doing this, I promise you, it happens so fast that you process it very quickly, and you understand, you're like, oh, that makes sense. And that's what I want to get you to a space. So in those spaces that people would get stuck on for months, even years, you're not allowing yourself to do that, right? You have to sit in it and you feel it. And there's no time limit or standard, but it becomes easier to process and understand when you have those steps and kind of some good questions and journaling and actual something in your tool belt that says, yes, this will help me and I can do that. South of the North, welcome. And Alina, welcome. All right, so then choose your next step with intention, because that's the idea. Once you honor it and you accept it and love yourself through it, because when we love ourselves, we have to love all of ourselves. That doesn't mean that we have to like everything we do or have done, but when you shame yourself for things that you did because you only knew better at the time. Welcome, Jay Mansfield and Carol. When you shame yourself, you hold yourself back, right? And the world is full of programming and enough reasons to shame yourself or make you feel bad for those things. Instead of judging yourself, say, why did that happen? And how can I do a little bit better next time? What steps can I take? Because now you're creating your tool belt. You don't recognize that in the moment, but when you start getting curious, what is it going to take to help me move forward from a safe space where I'm not judging? Because would I judge someone else if they're in pain? Would I go and be cruel and say cruel things to them? No, right? 9 times out of 10, 99.99 times out of 10, it's going to be no. You're going to treat someone kindly, right? Welcome, Cowboy. But when it's ourselves, we're right ready to criticize and judge and say, why did you do that? Oh, that was dumb, and da-da. Like, there's a million things we say to ourselves that we don't need to do. Would we say it to our neighbor? Would we say it to some little kid on the street? No. So we need to take that same kindness and that same compassion and show up for us in those moments. Because when we learn how to show up for ourselves, then we create a space, a safe space, where we trust ourselves enough to be vulnerable and to see what it is so we can actually help ourselves fix it. And we can't be mad at ourselves for just processing something that wasn't our fault. It is our job to heal it. You know, it's our responsibility. But to do that, if you don't know how to do that, really gets you stuck. And you're like, I'm not sure. I'm lost. I don't know how to do it. And you're in pain. And now you're judging yourself. And I really want to help us get out of that. If we can get to a space where, okay, I'm in pain and I have every right to feel that way. I'm processing all this. I've done this stage and this stage and this stage, but I'm stuck on this one and I don't know why. When you can get to a space where we're just curious, it makes it a lot easier. So, DJ, welcome. All right, so then you're going to choose your next step with intention, right? And that's when the transformation happens. So healing isn't about feeling anger or pain again, or never feeling anger or pain again. It's about learning to let them move through you without consuming you, right? We want to process it, understand it, love ourselves through it, validate it, and then release it, because it's not our burden to carry, right? Welcome, Shanta and Samantha. It's about letting love heal, have the final word. Because even in your cracks, the light knows how to find you. And when we open those cracks, we allow that pain, that shame, all of those things, the stigmas, all of those things, those programs, other people, our own judgment of ourselves have created. Those cracks, we're now releasing them. And in that space, we're making room for love. We're loving ourselves first, so we know we're not going to get confused, and we're not going to walk back into these same problems, right? So, okay, so I just want to go through quickly. I have a couple questions, transmutation questions, and we don't heal by pretending the darkness isn't there. We heal it by inviting it in, listening and sitting with it, understanding it, validating it, and loving ourselves through it. Now, in the end, we're also going to say thank you, even though when you do things in survival mode, you do them as a way of protecting yourself, right? So it's not, it's never the best answer, ever. But when you're thinking life or death, which is what survival mode is, you're going to do what most immediately happens. But when you're able to come to that space of calm, you find a space where you don't have just this answer or that answer. Now you have a few other ones that open up that can end up in the best possible way for you. Welcome, Willow and Terry and Salwa. Welcome. So the idea is to be able to constantly come back to this space. And when there's confusion, or when we're in that space, because when that kindness breaks your heart open, which is the one we talked about just before this, when it breaks you open, you're very sensitive and you're very emotional, and you can't understand why it's still making you so soft. There's a part of shame. There's all these things that come with that kindness, and you're like, why am I feeling these for these emotions? But in those cracks, it now allows you to see, why is that hurting? Why is this still hurting? I thought I healed that. I thought I came to this space already. Now it's shining the light on all those things that still need to heal. And it doesn't mean you have to heal them all at once, but now you can take notice. And when you take notice, then you have the ability to sit there with them and say, okay, I have every right to feel that way. I had every right to behave that way. Was that the best way? No. Could I have done better? Yes. How? Now you're asking yourself questions and saying, okay, so I understand in those moments I did not the perfect thing because that's all I knew. Now I've found a better way. Now I'm creating a tool belt so when this happens again, I'm not being triggered. I'm not reacting. I'm responding from a place of calm, a place of, in this moment, I am safe. An argument, a disagreement, anything that happens, unless it's life and death and someone's got a gun to your head, there's a place to resolve it. There's a space to figure it out, and a space to understand that if I can come back to this center, to this safe space very quickly, then I can have this resolution, and it can be beneficial for everybody involved. But always worry about being beneficial for you first. So if you have to walk away before it keeps escalating to another space, then you do that because you protect yourself first. And in turn, you're walking away. You're not hurting somebody. You're saying, nope, I'm not taking part in this. And you're allowed to do that. And it's so empowering when you begin to get to that space. Oh, Lord, it is probably the best feeling in the world, because now you're not boxed into this place where they've got you backed into a corner where you're going to go until you react. And having been somebody that was constantly put in that space, once you learn that space, oh, Lord, you're winning. Welcome, Dr. Jasil and Sav, welcome. All right, so I'm just going over some of these things. I have a couple more deep dive, but I really want to focus on some of the questions that we can ask ourselves, okay? And these are just, there's a million you can ask, but these are just some that are kind of helpful. And if you can remember even one in the situation, one in that moment of emotion or overreaching guilt or all of those things that come with it. And by the way, it may be guilt, it may be anger, it could be any of those things. And there's no judgment. You have to learn to hold that space for yourself without judgment. The same way you would for that little girl that came and was just so angry, that child. You're not going to yell at her or be angry with her or say you should have did this. You're going to comfort her properly, and you're going to take care of her, and you're going to say, I'm so sorry that happened to you, and you're going to listen, and you're going to validate her. And that's what we're trying to do for ourselves, because when we learn to do that for ourselves, We replace the need to go through all of these things. And if we need someone to sit with us, it's okay too. Find someone that you trust and ask them. But until then, the beginning to validate yourself keeps you that space where you can sort through and not have somebody else's judgment or somebody else's filter on what your life is, right? How you've lived, what you've survived, what you've been through. And I promise you, when you've been through so much, you learn very quickly what you already know, right? Because your truth may be different from someone else's truth. And once we get to that space of understanding, we're really winning, because now we're not listening to this one or that one. It's okay to take a little bit of information from here, a little bit of information from here, and use that to what works for you. You're not hurting somebody else, and you're trying to help yourself. So there's nothing wrong with that ever. You don't have to live up to somebody else's expectation. Welcome, Diane and Munir. All right, so here's a couple questions, some reflection questions to kind of help get curious and how can I sit with myself? And they're very simple ones. So if you use the same kind of idea and the same questions in any of those emotions that you're feeling, in any of those spaces, you're definitely going to get an answer, and a helpful one, if you listen just for a moment to yourself. Just listen to yourself. What is your darkness trying to teach you? Those spaces where survival, those reactions where you react out of anger. Because I'm going to tell you a secret. It shouldn't be a secret, but I don't care who you are on this planet. You could be the absolute highest of high, lowest of low. We all have the capability to be the world's most evil beast. We have it in us. Given the right time, situation, justification, there's always some space where that beast, that almost horrible part of us could come out. Okay, and we have to actively choose every single day to not do that. So when you understand that, we also have the capability to be the highest of high, the best of the best, and the kindness of the kind. So when you get to that space and understanding that every single human being on the planet has both capabilities. Okay, and when we understand that and we work so hard to keep it at balance, okay, things are always going to throw you off kilter because there's so much going on in the world. There's so much healing and trauma that we have to do from things that were not even our fault. So that rage, that anger, that fear, that shame, they're all justified feelings, right? You can't just invalidate them, but to understand them. Why should you have shame for something somebody else did to you? You didn't do it. You don't have to hold accountability for that. Your only accountability is to figure out what it is to heal. So you're not the one passing that on to somebody else, right? And when you can understand that, how can you're going to yell at somebody for getting into a car accident that wasn't their fault? Or somebody that lost a parent and that's grieving? Like, these are situations that I wish on nobody, but at the same time, it's very easy to understand. So are you going to get over that yet? You can't do that to somebody. You wouldn't do that to somebody, right? You would want to make sure they're okay, and you want to check in on them. Welcome, Ronald and Kat. Welcome. And Core Brands Office. Welcome. So that's what I'm trying to explain, is if we wouldn't do it for somebody else, another child in trauma, or an adult that's grieving, lost their family member, something severe happens. Look at all the hurricanes and all those people losing their houses, people losing their entire livelihoods they've worked so hard for. That's grief. That's loss, and that's huge. Are you going to go up to them and be like, oh, well, you should have known better? No. So why would you do that to yourself? What I'm trying to teach is these small little questions that say, okay, I understand the initial reaction. I understand how I get to rage. I understand how all this. Now, explain to me how I can move beyond that. And when you ask yourself these things, you're going to give yourself the answer because you already know. Welcome, Mad Child. So where does the light still find its way in? That kindness that you give out every single day, when you say hello and you're giving compliments and you're holding the door for a random stranger, or you watch somebody drop something and you help them pick it up. Those kindnesses, that's the light. That's you constantly doing it and you don't think about it. Now you're in a space where you're learning to receive. You've released all of that stuff. You're starting to let it go, and you're making room for other people to give to you, right? Other people to give you that kindness that you've been giving out and not giving yourself. But how do you learn to accept it, right? Well, you have to release the shame. You have to release the guilt. You have to release that. It's not your job to save the world. It's not. Okay, and no matter what's going on in the world, there's always going to be something horrible that goes on. And unfortunately, we can't fix anything. Oh, Vars, welcome. How I've missed you. Welcome, Lolita and Jen. So the reason I'm saying this is when we peel back those layers and we get to that space where we're just getting curious and we understand that we can't control everything that's going on around us. The only thing we can control is ourselves, how we react, how we respond, and how we allow ourselves to see things that are going on in the world around us. It's okay to have sadness. It's okay to have grief and worry for those people that are going through horrible things. It's absolutely okay. But when you understand that it's something that you have no control over and you can't physically do anything about it, then you have to send out a prayer, you have to wish the best for them, and then you have to say, okay, but I can control this in the here and now, and I can help myself heal, and in turn that's going to send out ripples to more healing and more love. Send out prayers, do that, but don't put that pressure on yourself. And don't beat yourself up for something you have no control over. We're worried about what we can control in our own self, and our own space, and our own heart and soul. Okay, welcome Nada and Jimbo, welcome. Okay, and then, so where does the light still find its way in? And can you let love have the final word? Sorry, my words are not working. Because right now we want to talk about how we're getting the light through the cracks and how healing begins when we stop running from what hurts, right? So I kind of already talked about the other ones. And if you go back, actually I don't have them on here. They go on my YouTube because it doesn't let me post the videos. But I always post my live replays on my YouTube, which is Creativity Guides Me. So you can always go and check back. Also, at the end, when I get through all 10 of these lives, there will be one extra live that kind of pulls it all together, all of the steps. So it gives a little space for reflection and the ability to figure out how we're going to use this, take these actions in our own lives to make it better, right? So it's just kind of my notes, so I got to make sure I stay on track. Otherwise, I can go all over. So, healing starts when we stop trying to escape what hurts and instead listen to what it's saying. Because our body's going to tell us. If you immediately are in a space and you start to feel anxiety, there's a trigger there. And you're like, you may not have known that before, but you walk into that space and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, my chest feels heavy, things are going on. That's your body saying there's something there that you don't feel safe about. Now you can go, what is that? What could that be? Right? And these things are going to happen almost immediately. Welcome, Fan and BB. These things are going to happen, and they're going to happen pretty quickly once you get used to happening. When you get used to them happening, right? So the idea is when you get into that space and you start feeling anxious, you look around. What is happening? Is there anywhere that I feel unsafe? Is there people going to hurt me? Is there an explosion going on? No. So right now in this moment, no matter where I am, there's no reason for me to feel anxious or upset, right? But now you're starting to scan the room because you're being present. You're trying to understand what's happening and why you're feeling that way. And as you process it, you're going, okay, well, that can't be it. We know that's not true. That can't be it. And you're breaking it down. And as you do that, you're allowing yourself to stay present and you're saying, okay, that's not triggering me. That's not triggering me. And all of a sudden, you're going to find the one thing that is. And you're like, well, that makes no sense. Why does that make me feel unsafe? You're actually going to have these questions and conversations going on in your head. And maybe in that moment, you can't have all the answers, but you're going to remember that. So when you go home and you're like, why did that trigger me so bad? Why did that upset me? And you're just going to ask those questions. And the more you ask why, the more the answers are going to come. And it's just like an onion. You're peeling back the layers. But once you learn to do that and you start doing that, the easier it becomes. And that's really what I'm trying to do, is help break it down so that we can understand that when we let that kindness crack us open, and those cracks are meant to release all that negative stuff that's not our burden to carry. And then we're making space for all the greatness that we're giving to ourselves, and in turn giving out to the world, which in turn mirrors back to us. It can't mirror back to us and reflect and absorb into us if we're not giving it to ourselves first. So we need to truly make sure that's the first and foremost thing that we do. Welcome, veterinary practice. Okay, so you don't have to destroy to release. We need to understand how emotions like rage, sorrow, or guilt hold energy. They just want understanding, right? Good morning, just a small town girl. How are you? When they arise, we can let them speak instead of silencing them. Okay, emotions are just energy and motion. And when we understand that, and we can break it down, each one to a space that we need. Good morning, Laura. I'm at work, but listening in. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love the hands, too. I'm a hand talker, so you'll see me all the time. Sometimes I drive my own self crazy, but I've just learned to live with it. So I appreciate you listening in. All right, so we have some more reflection prompts. And when I tell you these things, a lot of people say journaling. But I'm realistic, and I'm not trying to force you into space. Some of us are writers, some of us aren't. And some of us are talkers like me. So I always get into a space where I have all this going on and I'm trying to write it down, and then I can't, by the time I get it written down or typed out, it's gone, right? I get sidetracked, things go on, I can't even remember. So as cathartic as writing is, and it is very, very helpful in those moments when you're trying to process or understand and you can't get it down, take your voice note on your phone or whatever. I just go to like my Google Docs or my whatever, and I do the voice to text. And yes, it's not going to be written the way you say it, because voice to text is evil. But in those moments when you spit it out and you're saying what you need to say so you can reflect later when you've got the bulk of it out, now when you go and you actually start writing, you're going to take your Google Notes. This is just a trick that I use. It's not, you don't have to use it, but you go to your Google Notes and you start writing it out. Now, those spaces where you write out, oh, but now I can expand on this, and now I can understand how that made sense, and how do I make that turn into this? And as you're writing, you're processing. You're doing so many great things. Good morning, Seven Coyote. And believe it or not, that process, because you caught it in that moment where you weren't understanding, but you know you caught it. You got it down on your voice to text. You got it there. And now when you go home and you get that moment, that space to process it, you're actually processing it. And in those moments, you're writing it down and you're talking to yourself. You're healing yourself. You're actually doing the work to take that thing that would have held you back, would have shamed yourself, would have made you feel less than, not good enough, all of those things, because you can't understand why you don't understand it. And now because you got that emotion that you would have missed, or you wouldn't have got to by the time pardon me, you started writing, you would have just missed out on it. So do the record. Don't feel bad because you can't write in the moment. Hold on, I'm choking. And then go back and actually take that note that you wrote and start writing it out. Because as you start writing it out, your brain starts thinking about it. And as you're writing, yes, sometimes your brain can still go way off, but open the camera. I'm not sure what that means. But yeah, so when you start processing like that, you allow yourself a space, right? And you're actually processing it, you're transmuting it, and you'll find yourself, as soon as you start writing it down and you start going off, right? Oh, that took me here. Well, now that takes you to a memory, to a space, to something that triggered that in the moment. And that's the idea, because when you get to that space, when you have that trigger point, now you're like, oh, I didn't recognize that was a trigger point. I had no idea. That's why I'm being anxious over here. That's the one thing. And it may just only be a part of it, but you've hit it. And now you know, and you're like, oh, well, that makes no sense. That's not even close to true. Why would that trigger me? Now you're asking why it would trigger me. Boom, instant. You're processing, you're validating, you're understanding. And then all of a sudden, those trigger points that really would have set you right off, would have dysregulated your nervous system, all those things. Now you've processed it just by writing it out, just by taking that moment to voice it. And then you're speaking into the universe. I'm actively working on processing all of these things and trying to understand them. So can you help me understand them? And I'm telling you, when you start writing, the universe is going to push it right out of you. And you'll be like, whoa, where did that come from? That's how it works. Because when we get to know ourselves and we show up for ourselves in that space of love, not judgment, not any of those things, we're transmuting and we don't even know it. The problem is we get stuck on these certain things. Okay, and for most people, it's the trauma or the rage or the anger. For me, it was the kindness. I was so used to, the best way to explain it, I'm just trying to give an example of a story for me without, trauma dumping, because we don't want to do that. But I had been through so much trauma in my life that when I spoke of it, I was very matter of fact. One, because I kind of processed it, but also I didn't have time to sit and understand or validate it. It was survival. I lived in survival probably most of my life. So even though you think you're healing, but you're just compartmentalizing and all those things. So I would just be able to explain it very calmly, very matter of fact, like this happened, that was that. And then I could also talk about my kindness, the things that I did for other people, like it was no big deal. Like it was absolutely no big deal. Welcome, Lucienne. And the reason was because, first of all, everybody disregarded the kindnesses, or they would always find a way to taint it and say that you're trying to do something that you're not. There was no ever intention or expectation. It was just meant to be kind. It wasn't even meant for a thank you. It was just, you're doing it because you saw somebody was in need and you did that. So, but you're so used to people turning that into something, tainting that you have to defend yourself and that you just speak about it like it's not a thing, right? So then when you finally get that small amount of kindness back to you, you don't even know how to process it. You don't know how to understand it. And for me, that was a huge struggle. And sometimes I still struggle with that because it takes a lot to learn how to receive. It's really a hard thing when you've been hyper independent, when you've been in survival mode. When you give, and people just take, and then crap all over you in the process, how do you understand that? That's where you get to the space where until you heal that, you're going to get stuck on the same space, right? And that's kind of what happened with me. And that's also why I share this, because it doesn't matter what stage you kind of get stuck on, there's always going to be a stage. And when you can learn and see, oh yes, I'm definitely getting stuck here, and why, you're going to move through it so much faster. And it's something in your tool belt, so anytime they come up, no matter what the layer is, no matter where it is, you have something there. Oh, I know how to get curious. I know how to understand this. And it creates a self-awareness that I can't even begin to describe. Welcome, Loveth and Fatin. Welcome. Okay, so that's why I talk about journaling, but don't make it so much about just writing. Do it however you got to do to get that emotion out, so you can reflect on it later when you're in a safe space. Because when it's overwhelming, you're processing from survival, and whatever you decide in that moment is not going to be for yours or anyone else's best good. So when we can peel these back and sit with ourselves and get curious in the same way that we would for anyone, a child, a stranger, somebody in a situation, we're not going to punish them. Why would we do that to ourselves, right? And believe it or not, it's programmed. It's already there. It's not something that is like, well, of course I wouldn't. But in the moment you do, because that's all you know. And that's okay. There's no judgment there. That's what you've been programmed to believe. So when we get past that space of a judgment for ourselves, we create that space where we can love ourselves through anything, right? And once you're cracked open, once that kindness cracks you open, it just says the world does see me. They see me for exactly who I am, and I deserve that. I deserve that just like everyone else does. Welcome, BJ and Dolly Parton. Welcome. I love some of these names. Okay, so now that we've kind of talked about ways and some reflection ideas, I have a couple more little paragraphs. I don't want to get too crazy. And then we'll do some card pulls because I know people kind of like to get some reflection and action steps. And that's how I live my life. Gratitude, self-care, and asking questions. And if we can get to that space for ourselves, we're pretty much winning over every situation, right? Welcome, Jay, and welcome, April. So, what healing really is. Healing isn't about fixing yourself or pretending the darkness isn't there. Healing is the process of letting what you've buried finally speak. The cracks inside us, the ones we've tried to hide, the ones we felt ashamed of, are not signs of failure. They're places where the truth leaks out. Real healing begins when we stop trying to seal those cracks and instead sit with them, breathe into them, and let the light reach them. Welcome back, David. Thank you. Healing is allowing your emotions to rise without judging them, naming them without running, and learning to soften toward yourself instead of hardening. It's a slow unwinding, not perfection, just presence. Taking those moments to sit with yourself and understand and validate yourself. Welcome, Kels and Sarah. So we need to allow the emotions to surface so they can soften their grip. Because if we hold on to that rage, it's going to just stay and build and build and build. And when you finally explode, the whole world's going to get it, right? Like, it's not something that you're not just going to yell at the neighbor. It's going to be the neighbor and the kid and this and that. And random strangers, and you're going to be like, where the hell did that come from? I'm so ashamed. I'm so embarrassed. And, then you start beating yourself up. And then it just continues that cycle. Okay, and it's never going to stop because you're not understanding what it took to make you blow in the first place. And the idea is if we can get to that space where we're understanding what that was that built up and not get it before it builds up, and then replace it with love and validation and understanding, then we don't allow it that space to blow up. It never gets there. It never even gets here because we're processing it as we go. And once you start doing it and understanding it and getting curious, you process it so fast you don't even realize that you're processing it. Sometimes I have to force myself to sit with things because I'm like, yeah, I get it. Because I've been so used to having to just overcome. But when I was creating this fire and flow content and kind of breaking it down, I had to sit with each of these. And I had to understand, welcome, Irina. I had to understand, like, I know that I just do this, okay, and I've had no choice, and I've had to do it my whole life. But there's a gift in there, and there is something in there that is so... When you tell people stories and their jaws are hanging to the floor, like, what? And you're saying it so matter-of-factly, like, because it just happened, and their jaws are looking at you like, what the hell? That means that whatever it is that you've overcome is probably not a normal thing. Okay, and it's probably horrifying. And when you see that and you're like, oh, well, they're laughing at me. No, they're in awe because they can't understand how you're still going and still overcoming and still figuring it out. Because you have a gift and you didn't even know. You've been processing, and maybe not the right way, but you've been processing in survival. But if I can get you to process out of survival and still take those same actions and sit and understand what they are that you've been doing, and get out of survival and do it. Now you're not just putting it back. You're sitting with it. You're healing it. You're validating it. You're understanding it. You're overcoming it. You're peeling back another layer, and you're doing the same. And every time you do that, those triggers, they disappear. Your empowerment just goes through the roof. Your confidence through the roof. And those people, and not just people, places, things, those situations that would trigger you and turn you into this just craziness, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I'm going to die. All that craziness now turns into, I understand. I completely get it. And no, I'm not going to sit and fight that war. I'm not going to go and feed into this negativity because I don't need to. I understand that you're not at a space where you can listen and understand or have that conversation. So instead of keep trying to force my information, I'm just going to walk away. Okay? If we're at a space where we need to eventually communicate, then you're going to say, okay, I'm not ready for this. I'm not about to get triggered and do those same things that I've done before. So I need to process what's happening, and then we'll come back and have those conversations. That's how we get from a space of survival to real communication, real chances for change. So that's kind of what I'm trying to help along the way here. And it doesn't have to be all done all the time. It's just about learning what works for you, how to get there, and how can we ask these questions that are, pretty general and pretty simple, and we're only asking out of curiosity. And when we get the answer, whether it's good or bad, doesn't matter what it is that comes in our brain. Something there triggered it. So whatever that answer is, if it's a horrible answer, whoa, what does that mean? Especially if it's a horrible answer, it's going to stop you dead in your tracks and you'll be like, why does it bring that much rage? Why do I feel that? That's pretty extreme. Would I feel that way normally? No. So now you're going to go, if I wouldn't feel that way normally, why, when this happens, do I get to this point? So now you're just getting curious. You're not being mad at yourself. It's there to tell you, to show you, okay, that's extreme and maybe I don't need to get there. But why? Why is always going to be one of the best questions you can ever ask yourself. Simply just why, until you get to the core and there's no more whys. And that's when you really start to fix everything. All right. So when we stop stuffing our emotions down, their power over us changes. It's like opening your hand when you've been clenching your fist for years. The release hurts at first, but the freedom that flows is real. It allows you to breathe. It allows you a space to understand those things you've been holding so tight to. It also allows you to sort. Okay, this one I should keep, I should understand. This one I should learn from. This isn't even my problem. Why am I bothering with it? It's got to go. And you can release it. Through those cracks, you allow yourself that space to sift through what's yours and what's not yours. And what's not yours to carry, it's got to go. Let it go, release it, move on. What is yours to carry should be lessons, ideas, ways to move forward. All the ways that we can say, okay, no matter what's going on in this situation, there's a lesson. Every encounter is a lesson. Every encounter is an opportunity for growth and an opportunity for change. And when you can learn that and understand that anyone that mirrors something back to you, you have that in you somewhere. Even if it's in the most minuscule amount, this most minuscule thought, you have that ability there. You have that negativity. You have that there. And they're mirroring it back to you. And usually if they're mirroring it back in a more extreme thing, it's because even no matter how minimal, the universe is telling you, pay attention to this, okay? Because, yes, it's extreme, but would you sometimes hold back your feelings? Would you sometimes pack it away and not think about it and then explode? So it's just being mirrored back to you so you can understand how very quickly you can end up in that same space. So when you get curious and you can fix that space instead of having it mirrored back to you all the time until you fix it, because it's just going to get more and more extreme until that pressure breaks. And the idea is we want to crack it open with kindness, not with pressure or abuse or anger or fear or rage. We want to crack it with kindness so that when we do open it up, we're loving ourselves, we're validating ourselves and understanding ourselves through it. We're releasing the shit that's not ours, and we're saying, okay, the only thing I'm holding on to is lessons, empowerment, confidence, and abilities, creativity, anything that I can use to help myself and others share. Welcome back, Laura. All right, so, sorry, I have my notes and I want to make sure I'm getting everything in the same thing. So emotions like fear, anger, grief, or disappointment become heavier when we resist them. But when we let them surface with compassion, they lose their sharpness. They're not as easy to explode. They're not as easy to just react, because now we're feeling it and we're understanding it and we're like, everybody has these feelings. Everybody has the right to those feelings. So even if someone snaps at you with anger, you can literally look at them and say, okay, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. Maybe you don't have to say that to them, but you can understand that something's going on and maybe that's not the space. So in that moment, instead of firing back something negative or spewing out poison, you can look and say, oh, I've been there. I've had those shitty days and I completely understand that. Be like, I wish you the best and you have a nice day, right? You can choose kindness instead of responding and escalating things And because before, when you're triggered, right away you're going to spew back that fire, right? You don't even think about it. It's just an automatic reaction, which is survival. So when we get to those spaces, I'm giving like a public example for a reason, because a lot of times when that happens and we spit back so quickly, we'll usually walk away from that moment. Even in the moment, we're still angry, but when we calm down, we're like, really? Did we really need to say that to them? It probably wasn't the best idea, right? And that's when we become more and more self-aware. And those questions, those things, these small little things, when we get curious and we're accountable, right? Because it takes accountability. Man, I shouldn't have yelled back at them. Okay, and maybe you're never going to see them again and you can't apologize. But you're learning and you're moving forward with your best foot forward, so you win. Okay, you're winning no matter what. And just the next time, take that point. Oh, I remember what happened last time and I didn't feel good about that at all. So let's take a moment and have compassion, because we don't know what they're going through, right? So when we let them surface with a compassion, they lose their sharpness. They stop controlling us, and instead they become information, messages, and a part of us that simply want to be acknowledged. We have a right to be treated properly, especially if we're going out of our way to make sure we treat others the way we want to be treated. And when we're not being treated that way, it's our responsibility to speak it, to say it. I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with being treated this way. And it's not about fighting. It's just saying, that's my boundary. That's my line, and you cannot cross. If you choose to cross it, then that's it, right? You stand up. You don't have to go to war. You walk away. You cut them off. Because if they can't respect that part that you're trying to do to heal yourself, to become your best you, if they can't show you that much respect, they don't care enough. And that's their own space, their own healing they need to do, and you're not in control of that. So you do what's best for you. And if you got to walk away and cut off every person on the planet, you do that, right? Give everybody the opportunity. You speak. You say exactly what it is that's not okay and you're not having it. And if they refuse to listen, step up, or attempt to make a change, then they have to go, right? You walk away with love, with kindness, but sorry, but we don't align in this moment and I need to move along. And that's it. Welcome, Mr. Douglas. And Andrew, welcome. So sometimes softening isn't weakness. Softening is how the grip loosens. It's how the light gets in. And then that's how we start loving those cracks, shining the light on and understanding. We have every right to feel that way. We have every right to question why people would want to treat us badly. We have every right to question why would we allow them to treat us badly. And then we have every right to question, when they're being kind, how can we return the favor? How can we pass it through? Welcome, Andrew. I hope you're doing well. And Eliza and Peaches and Cream. Okay, so now while we're loving through the cracks, right? The cracks are parts of you that proved you survived. Those are the places where it was hardened, that held everything in, that didn't allow you to release that, right? They're the places that stayed hard, stayed firm, that was your shield to protect you while you were trying to overcome the things that were trying to kill you. And in some places, literally trying to kill you. Other places, mentally, emotionally, that's the immediate survival. And when your body and your brain is in survival, it doesn't recognize the difference between life or death. Everything is life or death. And then those simple things that should have been a disagreement or something turns into life or death. And that the reaction never justifies what's going on. And we really need to get into that space where that's not happening, right? Welcome, Holly. So the cracks are the parts of you that prove you survived. They're not the places you broke. They're the places you held on. When we bring love to those cracks instead of shame, they transform. You don't have to erase them. You honor them. You understand how those reactions happen. You understand why you did those things. That doesn't make it okay. And it doesn't make it justifiable. But it makes you understand that you are trying to protect yourself. No matter whether the situation deserved it or not, your brain and your body said, I'm protecting myself, and that's what I had to do. Now, I know that wasn't the right response. So how can I fix that? And that's the only thing that I'm trying to teach through this, is every single time we understand where we went wrong, if we're accountable, and it's going to take practice. It's not something like, oh, I screwed up that time. I screwed up here. I screwed up there. I didn't even wait to listen to what that person had to say, right? Like, you can be accountable and you can understand. So now, am I going to go and cause a whole nother war? No, I'm going to be accountable. And the next step, and the next time that happens, I'm like, oh, I remember. I didn't do this properly. I jumped in. I interrupted. I did all of those things that made it harder and put them in an unsafe feeling. So I triggered their response, right? Their survival response. And when you can understand that for yourself, you now learn the best way to not do that. And it takes practice, but you'll get there. It's just be accountable for yourself, but love yourself and understand. Don't hate yourself or shame yourself for something you didn't do 100% correctly. Just learn the lesson, figure out what it is, and move forward in that space. All right, so you don't have to erase them to heal them. You want to honor them. You say, this part of me struggled, but it kept me alive, right? And when you love yourself through that space and love those cracks, through your imperfect moments, your messy emotions, your old reactions, you're reclaiming the pieces you once abandoned. When you feel shame for all that, and you're beating yourself up and all this negativity, like if your child has an emotional day and they're melting down, are you going to yell at them? No, right? Like, we understand that that's not the best way to go about it. Okay, so once you get to that place, you're saying, okay, that wasn't right, but how can I do that better? And when you're doing that, you're being accountable and you're pulling them back and you're saying, okay, I'm going to hold on to the lessons, but all that other crap is not my problem and I don't need to deal with it, right? So that's where I'm trying to get people to understand. We want to honor the places and understand that survival is that space and it's there to protect you. And in emergencies, that's exactly what it should be used for. But when we have to bring survival into every single scenario, we're never going to do something to our best benefit. So the idea is, even in those moments of conflict, of irritation, of all those things, that we can find that space to love ourselves through it and be calm and take the lessons and be accountable for our actions, but at the same time love ourselves through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Welcome, Emmanuel. So when you love yourself through your cracks, through your imperfect moments, your messy emotions, your old reactions, you're reclaiming the pieces that you abandoned. And this is what fills them with light. You're seeing them, you're acknowledging them, and you're finding a way to do it different. Okay? Is it going to be perfect every time? No. You're going to try, and it's trial and error, right? But every time you try and you choose something different, doesn't matter what it is, choose something different. You're changing your trajectory. You're changing how you feel. You're changing the ability, and you're empowering yourself. I tried that different, and it didn't go as horrible this time. Okay, so maybe if I try this, this and this, man, let's see how that works next time, right? And now you're getting curious with yourself. You're understanding, yeah, okay, I'm not perfect, but you're also understanding that I'm trying. You can't ever be mad at yourself if you show up every single day and you're trying just a little bit more to do something different, right? Welcome, God Smile. Good morning. All right, so inviting the darkness without destroying yourself. This is the hard part, because when we get to those spaces where we're being accountable and we're moving forward, we don't want to go back, right? But sometimes that triggers and the traumas and all those things that we've already been through, we've been piling them, right? So we can do the first layer, but if we don't start peeling back those layers as we go, then we miss that space, right? And then we only hear, and then when that next trigger comes, it's another blow, right? And it's the same thing happening. So this is the idea of this process, is that it's something to put in your tool belt for the next time things happen, right? And then when you have those times and those moments to feel through it, that you have a space where you can go, okay, this one, peel back. Oh, I'm at this stage right now. Okay, so where's my next step? And that's how it works, right? Good morning to you too. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And then you don't have to destroy any part of yourself to release what hurts. That's the most important part. You don't have to purge your bad emotions or cut the pieces that feel too heavy. Darkness isn't something to kill. It's something to understand. Because we all, every single human being on this planet, has that capability. And when you understand that, it's a little easier to hold more compassion for yourself. You're not wrong or shameful for feeling full of rage. You're not wrong or shameful for thinking that negative thought. it's human nature. That doesn't mean we act on every single one. That doesn't even mean that we believe all of the thoughts that we're thinking. Okay, those thoughts come into your brain because of the programming, the stuff we watch, the things we listen to, the news we watch. Okay, it's programmed into us nonstop, never ending. So when we can recognize, wait, that's not my thought. That's not something that I would say. Why did that negativity even come into my brain? Because that's not something I believe. We can sort through that. And in turn, we're becoming more self-aware. We're not shaming ourselves. We're just saying, like, I know that's not my thought. So that's coming from the programming, the TV shows, all of those other things, the people you're around. But now you can start separating. I know that's not mine. And because now you're not in survival mode, you've given yourself that space. And you're not beating yourself up for having negative thoughts, negative reactions. You're starting to understand them. And in turn, they integrate with us, and that's where we become more balanced, right? The idea is not to be extreme either one. The idea is to find that balance and be able to stay there. And it's very hard to do. When we get a little farther along into the next couple, you'll start hearing about the void, the stillness, the medicine within. These are some of the ones that are coming up. And these are the spaces that are tricky, especially if you're hyper independent and all those things. Welcome back, Vars. Welcome back, David. So emotions like rage, sorrow, guilt, or shame, they're not enemies. They're held energy, survival responses, parts of you that were trying to protect you long before you knew how to protect yourself, right? And when they come up, it's not a sign you're going backwards. It's a sign you're ready to listen. That's the thing. We don't shame ourselves when they come up. We start understanding. Because when we can show up from that space and say, we're not here to hurt ourselves. We're not here to hinder. This rage is valid. But why is it here? What is it that I'm feeling that rage for? Not, you're a horrible person. You shouldn't feel that rage. No, everybody has the right to feel it. And especially if you've been violated in any way that's went over your boundaries, you have that right to feel that way. But understanding it shows what you believe in. It shows what you absolutely understand. It shows your moral compass, your true north, and that's the most important thing that we can understand about ourselves. Because when we understand that bare minimum, that bottom line, that's our safe space. That's our absolute safe space. That's our neutral zone. That's where nobody's crossed into that space. That makes us feel unsafe. And when we get to that space and we know what that is, now anywhere we branch out, anywhere we start learning, anywhere we do things, we know we always come back to here. Not everybody comes back to here. We come back to here, right? Okay, so letting emotions speak instead of silencing them. When you silence an emotion, it doesn't disappear. It gets louder. And it will keep getting louder until you explode. And then when you explode, you're going to have 25 more emotions, shame, anxiety, guilt, all of those things on top of it when you were just trying to figure out what your space was. So the idea is we can get you to that space and get you to understand that before you get to blow, right? When you silence an emotion, it doesn't disappear, it gets louder. It hides in the body, it weighs down the chest, it tightens the stomach, it fogs the mind, makes you feel upset, it stresses you out. Hold on, I gotta do the puzzle here. Ooh, I got it. Okay. And it does. You feel it in your shoulders, you feel it in your neck, you feel it in your stomach. That's why they call it dis-ease, right? And that's when the things start really hindering you. That's your body saying, take notice. I need you to start checking in with this because we need to release that tension. This is trauma stored in your body all over the place. The stuff you've been packing down your whole life. It's just trying to find a way out. Those sicknesses, the rashes, all those things. It's all your body trying to tell you, I need you to slow down and I need you to start checking in. Like, first it would be emotional, but when it starts to become physical signs, your body's saying, okay, like, you're going to end up with a problem. You're going to end up getting sick, like really getting sick, if you don't start checking in. So the idea is that we can start checking in with these things and doing these things before it's weighed down, okay? And if it's already weighed down, start checking in slowly in a healthy manner so that we're not killing ourselves trying to do it, but we're slowly going down the layers where it's processable, where we can validate and sit with it and not tear ourselves up more, because that's the biggest goal. We all have stuff that we've been carrying and not understand, and I still go through it all the time. Every single time something happens, I have to have a whole process, and I sit with it. And when we can get to that space, we're allowing ourselves to heal instead of holding on to it. And that's really what I want to try and teach everybody, because we're transforming it. We're transmuting it into our greatness. And when you have the ability to do that, you can show somebody else. And when you can get to that space for yourself, it's so empowering that when you do start to show other people, you're walking proof. They're seeing how you're doing it. Somebody that's been through so many things, and they're like, how are you so happy? How are you so kind? How do you show up like that? You do it because you process it. You've learned how to go to that. So every single time when you're in that moment, you know how to sit with yourself. You know how to validate yourself, and you know how to get curious and show up for yourself. Welcome, Barbara. So the idea is, if I can help you even get curious and start sitting with this along the way through this process, those places where you're getting stuck, that you think that you're doing something wrong, you know you're not doing anything wrong. You're exactly where you're meant to be, and you're exactly where you got to sit with it and understand and process it. That's the space where that crack gives you the light, allows the light in to see that space that's been hidden for so long, and it allows you to get curious and love yourself through it. Welcome, Reams. So when you let it speak, even for a moment, it begins to move. That's when that pain starts to release. That's when that anger doesn't sit here anymore and feel so heavy where you got to react. It starts to move. And as it's coming out safely. It's coming out in a space that's not explosion. That's not going to be a catastrophe everywhere you go, right? Welcome, Renzo and Dan. So the idea is that it's a wave instead of a wall, right? Where something you would crash into, now you're riding with it, and you're able to move through it. Okay, not over it, around it, through it. Because that's the only way through it. You know how they say you got to feel it to heal it? It's so true. It's the truest words ever spoken. But you have to get to a space where you can do it safely. And where you can do it where you're not being overwhelmed and feel like you're lost in the desert and you're just going to die. Right? And there's times it feels that way. There's times it's so gross, you're like, why did I even decide to do this? But you're already there, and now you got to go through it. Because when you finish it, and you finish it out, and you sit with it, and you validate it, and you understand it, when you come out on the other side, the amount of empowerment, the amount of trust you begin to know and understand in yourself, it's indescribable. It truly is. Your connection with the universe, your connection with spirit, all of that just gets greater and greater, and it empowers you to do it more, right? And it empowers you to dig deeper, and it empowers you in those situations where it could go from good to bad very quickly, to understand it can go this way crazy, or it can go this way crazy, or I can take a moment, I can understand, I can ask, I can breathe, I can pause where I'm safe, where I'm good, and now I can respond properly. And that's the best thing we can do for ourselves, because every time we do that correctly, the next time we just get better, and we get faster, and we get more empowered and more confident when we're doing it. We trust ourselves. We don't feel as unsafe in these situations because we know our boundaries, and we know what to do when those boundaries are being crossed, right? We know what to do in a safe manner, not an explosive manner. Welcome, Genevieve. Welcome. Okay, so the validation of it is what releases it. When we sit with it and understand it and say, we have every right to feel that way. But because we feel that way, that doesn't mean we have to react that way. We don't have to explode. We don't have to spew that out onto somebody else that has nothing to do with it, right? We don't need to spew it out like that in any way, shape, or form. There's another more adult way to handle it. And you learn to process it. So that's the end of it, right? We're not agreeing with it. We're just validating it. We're understanding it. When we understand everybody has that capability from here to here, but they also have the capability for here. We can't make them be that. But when we can do that, then we're empowered. Nobody's going to come up and start shaking us. We become so unshakable in our belief in ourselves. Welcome, Robin. When we come to that space, we know every single time there's a conflict, there's a situation, we're coming back to this space here where we're centered, we're processing our emotion, we're not in survival mode. Now our response allows us to be empowered, and we, by default, are leading by example. We're showing other people how to do that. And 9 times out of 10, immediately that de-escalates the situation. It doesn't continue it. It empowers you. And we're talking about checking in and validating. We're also validating the good things we do. Because if we don't celebrate those moments when we walk away and we did the right thing, and we know we did the right thing, we're not going to keep doing them. Being accountable means accountable for good and bad, okay? And most of the times we're accountable for the bad things. But we need to celebrate those wins when they happen, because that is such an amazing accomplishment. Most people don't even understand it until they've already done it. That feeling of success, of joy, of, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. You're allowed that feeling too. In fact, you should have more of it. And every time you don't have more of it because you're not celebrating all your little wins. And my idea is to help you be empowered and see them and understand them. Be accountable for the bad, but celebrate the good just as much. Welcome, Diojan. Okay, so what you're saying to yourself is, I understand why you feel this. You're allowed to feel this. You were trying to protect me. That moment of compassion is what turns a crack into a doorway, right? It opens it up and it allows you to understand it and sit with it. It's the moment the darkness stops being a threat and becomes something you can walk through with light at your back. Every corner you get, every crack you get into, everywhere you shine that light, you're validating it, you're assimilating it, you're understanding it, and you're empowering it. That's transmutation at its finest, at its purest form. And all you're doing it with is just by asking questions, getting curious with yourself, being accountable, but getting curious. All right, I'm done talking about my examples, but I want to pull some cards because Spirit always likes to chime in, and almost always it will validate what I'm saying or help with action steps, ways to kind of get curious, ways to sit with ourselves, to love ourselves through it, the good, the bad, the ugly. I've said that since I started doing anything on here, videos. I share the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm not trying to trauma dump, so when I do talk about things, I try to keep them very vague because I'm not here to trauma dump, right? But when I do talk about the things that happen, I talk about them so you can understand that, yes, we can all overcome. Welcome, the pizza guy. And so you can understand, I promise you, if there's a situation you've been going through, I've been through something very similar, enough that would make you go, whoa. And I have. Okay, when you get put into these situations, God puts you there because you're not going to hold that judgment in that space for people. Okay, you're going to hold space with love and compassion because you've been there before. And that's the most important thing in this world. So, and from someone in my position, I didn't overcome all that shit to not use it to help somebody. I'm still here, I'm still breathing, and I'm doing better, and I'm actively healing every single day, and I'm going to share it. I don't hold shame for it. I used to hold so much shame for it. Oh man, it used to hurt my soul. But I got so sick of holding shame for something that I had no control over. I didn't do it. But it was my responsibility to heal it. And in doing that, learning that that was such a gift that I had, and that I now have the ability to share that into bite-sized pieces, actionable steps, that if you just do 1 or 2 of those things and get curious, you open the space for all of them, and it happens so naturally. Once you start doing it, it happens so naturally that you automatically start doing it in every situation. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really, even if one thing sinks in, you're winning. All right. Okay, Spirit. That's enough. That was too many. But we got, my turn shall also come. I sense the spreading of a wing. Try to name something that excites you about the coming weeks. Appreciate your ability to find joy in your own dreams. Right? When you're not worried in survival mode, you get to expand out. You get to look forward to things that are coming. You get to look at things and say, that's an opportunity. Public speaking used to make me so, it still kind of will, like if I'm on a stage with the microphone, I think it's the microphone, but that space where it used to be like, oh my God, I'm not going to make it, I can't do this, now turns into, no, I'm excited. Those are the same feelings. If you can turn that nervousness into excitement just by doing that same process, you're excited. You're ready to do it. And it shows in how you behave. And then when you go out there, there's no anxiety. You're not going to have a heart attack. You're ready to do this, right? It's just flipping the switch. And my idea is if I can help you flip that switch in any situation, everything is going to be exciting. Everything is going to be something you can go to and say, man, I can do this. I can do anything. I've overcome this. I've overcome that. You know, I don't let this get me down. I help everybody along the way. I deserve this. Do you see how that is different from, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to get there? What if I screw it up? What if I trip and fall? What if? Do you see the difference? It's just how you switch your mind. And by asking those questions, it's such a huge thing. Welcome, Sarah, Lindsay, welcome, and Francis. All right, I celebrate myself and sing myself. And what I assume, you shall assume. For every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. I loaf and invite my soul. I lean and loaf at my ease, observing a spear of summer grass. That quote is Walt Whitman. And then notice the beauty of connecting with others today and the gifts it gives to your soul. Smile at somebody. Just anybody. Walking down the street, you go to get coffee, the person in line. Smile. How are you today? I hope you have a great day. Say thank you. Somebody helps you with anything, make sure you say thank you and smile at them. Those little moments of connection create, like, you'll actually feel your heart expand when you do them. And the more you do that, the more you start, it's not an expectation, but you understand that's coming back to you every single step. So when you process and you dig deep, and now you're not, like if you're triggering and something happens, now you're going to worry about that negativity coming back. You're going to beat yourself up. But you know what? We're human, and when we screw up, we're going to do our best to do better, right? We're showing up better for ourselves every single time. Welcome, Psychosis. Okay, can I have a gratitude one? I should have opened these, but these are my ones. I do tarot readings, and sometimes maybe one day a week I'll come on and do some lives, and I can do card pulls and stuff. But I really like to do the oracles because it's about action steps. When I was healing, I would get to this space where, well, I'm always healing, so it's not like I stopped. It's when I was beginning, it's like they would be like, just forgive yourself, just do this. Okay, well, how do I do that? What am I missing? Why am I stuck? And I would really get to that space where I'm beating myself up for something that I don't understand yet. And it's not because I didn't know, it's because there was nobody ever to show me. Or places that were showing, were charging hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm living in survival mode. I can barely afford food and all these things going on. It was not something that I could afford. But did I deserve to heal? Did I deserve to have those questions asked and answered? Yes, absolutely. Every single human being on the planet does. So as I healed, okay, and I'm not saying that I'm better than these places that charge thousands, because they probably have 1,000 times more knowledge than me. But I'm trying to teach ways that we can do it ourselves. We can show up for ourselves and begin it. Because once we can flip that switch, and once we can come from that space of abundance, not that space of lack, we're coming from that space where we love ourselves, the money comes, the things come, and then we can do whatever we need to do. I'm here to open that door. That's all I am, just to get you curious. And if I do that, I've won. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you showing up, and I'm always going to keep shining. This is what I'm here to do. I hope you have a fabulous day. Thank you. Mysterious Glenn, welcome. All right. Don't let me get too emotional because I'm just a big suck. I've learned that kindness is one of those things that even when you give it, it can make you emotional, because when you're an empath and you feel other people's emotions around you, you don't understand, and that's a whole nother thing, learning to sort your emotions from someone else's. I get to a space where we have to sort through it. But that overwhelming emotion in the immediate, it just triggers you all sorts of everywhere in survival because you can't understand. But once you get to that space where you're calm and you're empowered, you allow yourself to say, oh, wait, that's not my emotion. Because did you know that it's a trauma response? It's not something that, and there are some people that are just naturally born that way. And maybe I was, who knows. But the ability to read a room, to feel other people's emotions, to see what is going on around, to understand what people are going to say before they say them. That's not being clairvoyant. Not in that space, it's not. And there's lots of people that are. But that space is not. That's survival mode. That's the way to protect yourself from being beaten or killed or any of those things, sucker punch when you least expect it, because you've had to survive those things, right? So that trauma response is, yes, it is a gift when you learn how to understand it. But if you can't get to that space where you understand how you're feeling, what your feelings are, and what your voice and what your thoughts are saying, when all those other emotions and all those other situations come, it is an overwhelm and it is crazy, and you go right into survival mode because you don't know how to process it. And that's what I'm hoping, that by the end of this, that there's lessons moving forward that can help you get to that space. 1, 2, 3, travel. Welcome. Okay, so how you love yourself is how you teach others to love you. And I'm telling you, it took me 42 years to learn this, and then another year and a half to really put it into action. And that sucks. I hope everybody learns it decades before I do. But I've now learned it, I now understand it, and I won't take anything less, and neither should anybody out there, no matter what's going on, because you are inherently worthy. No matter what happens in this world, you are inherently worthy. You need to understand it, speak it to the universe, and never let somebody tell you different. Welcome, Brian. So picture what it would look like to be loved and appreciated by the world in just the manner you most desire. Channel this image as you move throughout the day. It allows you a space to be thankful, like it's already happening. If you want to be on that center stage and you in front of the world, then imagine that and say thank you for it. If you want to be on that vacation on the cruise ship, say thank you like they're bringing you your drink. Take a few minutes and be Delulu and understand that you deserve that. Those dreams and those desires that are coming to your brain, they were put there because God's saying you can have them. God's saying you can absolutely have them. It takes showing up. It takes believing in yourself. It takes healing those things and empowering yourself. So when those opportunities arrive, you're ready, willing, let's go, right? Because you've already dealt with all those things. You don't live in fear. You step boldly, blindly sometimes, but you step with trust. If I'm doing the right things and I'm showing up for myself the way I'm supposed to be showing up and I'm accountable on my end, the things that happen for me are going to happen and they're going to be great. And if they're not always great, because the world is ups and downs, right? Like we can't stay up forever and we can't stay down forever. But when we understand that when something happens that's negative, I now know how to overcome it. I now know how to feel it, understand it, process it, and release it. So I can continue on and take that lesson to empower me moving forward. When we get to that space, we're winning life. There's no fear. It's just do it. Even scared, you just do it because you know no matter what happens, on the other side of that, you've completed it, you've learned, you've shared, you've taught things, and you've empowered yourself for the most important things you're ever going to do in your life. You're not ever going to be scared. You have the power of the universe, the Holy Spirit, your angels, your ancestors. Your ancestors are cheering you on nonstop. When you start showing up for yourself, you're fixing those things that they screwed up. Maybe they screwed up because they didn't understand. Maybe they screwed up because they made a bad decision. We all make bad decisions. They just don't always, maybe they didn't get the opportunity to fix it or learn. We're taking that and we're making a better stand. We're doing those things and we're showing up. We're empowering ourselves. We're empowering others. And we're doing the each one teach one. We're taking it and we're trying to share it and help other people along the way. So our ancestors, even if they screwed up, even if they did bad things, we're overcoming that for them. So you bet your ass they're cheering us on. And you bet your ass they're going to open up the way and they're going to make sure things fall in line. And when we're doing the right things to the best of our ability, when shit hits the fan, they're going to show up for you like no other. And that's because God says, the universe says. People say, well, if you believe in God, you can't believe in that. Well, what do you mean? You say, God is God. You're not even going to know what God's saying until you listen to yourself and understand yourself. And in those moments, God sends your ancestors. They send your angels. He sends all of those people to help you. Because that's how he has to connect. If he has to connect through an oracle card, if he has to connect through a theme, if he has to connect through a random stranger on the street, it's going to show up. You're going to get what you need. You got to get rid of the expectation where it's coming from. You know how many people would look at me and say, she's got no knowledge. What does she know? She's not a doctor. She doesn't have a PhD. She doesn't have this. There's a million reasons for them to judge what I'm saying and not understand it. And sometimes people aren't ready. It's not up to me to think, fix, or force it onto somebody. I'm giving the information freely because I want to help people. And it's up to you to decide whether it takes... I love this... Okay, I didn't even look at the cards that it pulled, but it exactly is explaining what I'm talking about right now. I love the confirmations. Well, that's what, 11? Yep. There we go. By the way, I love this deck. It's just phenomenal. This is the Ether. It's 0 point field, the void, blank canvas, threshold, time to choose what you want to bring into your life, endless possibilities, limitlessness, and paradox. This illuminated space of no distraction and pure potential is beyond the threshold. It is the silent, meditative moment out of time, the centered and present place beyond the hustle of the mind and the outside world. It is where all dreams are birthed, and it is the light we may fear to be darkness. Just for one moment, everything ceases to exist. This is the place between worlds, the womb before we incarnate, and from here we can choose where we go. The land has been tilled in readiness for the flowers we wish to seed. Outdated doors have been closed, and the space between the breaths, we open the new ones. What may be perceived as the endless black nothingness is actually the illuminated eternal, the core that all our fears may be peeled back to. When we step through the darkness, we realize it is only a short distance away from the white void at the center of creation and heaven. Herein lies the feeling that we may have been striving our whole life to meet, and yet simultaneously, subconsciously running from. In this place of graceful surrender, we may know we are held and allow ourselves the spaciousness to drop deeper into the experience of our existence, right? So this is the space. When we get to that space and we can come to this space, we allow ourselves to hear what's our thoughts, what's our feelings, and what God is sending to us. And then we have the violet flame. This one's good too. I knew immediately when these cards popped out that it was aligning with exactly what I'm talking about. As we deepen our spiritual path, step out of illusory constructs and become self-realized, empowered beings, life may present us with more opportunities to grow than before. When we explore our innate healing ability, we may experience our expanding consciousness as deeply blissful and illuminating. Our glimpses of higher awareness can be followed by periods of intensity as we return to normal. These uncomfortable experiences are shadow elements, unaligned with the higher vibration, dropping away so we can maintain our new frequency. Your sensitivity will be heightening, so it may be harder to spend time in places with frantic activity. You may feel disoriented, have emotional ups and downs, and even physical symptoms. Daily practices for recentering will allow you to drop into yourself and be present and still, away from the busy mind chatter and distractions. There are so many ways to meditate, so experiment and find something that works for you. Welcome, Edward. Oh, I lost my space. Hold on. Works for you. There is no way to do it wrong. Yoga, qigong, painting, or walking are just a few examples. We can learn to protect and maintain the energy we cultivate in ourselves. not from fear, but through a healthy awareness of what is ours and what is the energy of others, right? Learning how to sort it. So I don't know, for the ones that came in, might not understand, but from what I was talking about, literally, this couldn't be a better confirmation. Welcome, Jay. Welcome. Sorry, I missed the last spot. Holding the card. As we expand our consciousness, our empathy may increase. Maintaining energetic sovereignty will allow for heartfelt exchanges with healthy boundaries. Just as we keep our body fit and healthy, it is good to ensure our energy field is free from anything that no longer serves us. We all experience some level of trauma as we go through life. The effects can stay in our aura and, if unaddressed, may influence our physical or emotional well-being. There are many ways to clear your energy field. Seeing an energetic healer or learning clearing methods you can do yourself can be so helpful when you feel dense, heavy, triggered, sluggish, or down. Being able to kickstart a positive vibration so you can regain perspective can be the key to flowing through situations that seemed overwhelming or unsurmountable. Work with the violet flame to transmute anything that is not for your highest good into love. The flame is simple to visualize and a powerful tool that can be used by anyone. Welcome, Jam Winner. Consider your psychic toolkit. Do you have a range of accessible go-to practices for recentering, cleansing your aura, and protecting your energy? An exercise routine for psychic fitness will help keep your aura strong and resilient, your energy sovereign, and your vibration high. Maintaining clear and vibrant energy will also help you see through illusions that may be blocking or disorienting you. Bring the violet flame into your meditation and self-care practices for graceful rebalance after heightened energy levels. And that's exactly it. The whole idea is just to understand that through what I'm teaching, through these little content posts that I post and these little deep dives, it's just to give you some things in your tool belt. I'm not here to fix the world. As much as we would all love to do that, the bottom line remains, I can only give you information, and then it's your choice whether to use it or not, right? But what I'm hoping is out of this, these are some tools that have really saved my life and really helped me through the way. And if I can give you one or two small tools that are easy to pick up, that are easy to go to, and easy to put into practice on a regular basis, then you're allowing yourself, now the physical energy, the exercise, the meditation, all those things, we already know those work and they're tried and true. But the getting curious, the doing something, even if it's as little as just tapping your hand, you got this negative thought and you can teach yourself to start tapping your hand to the beat or something, get up and go for a walk. Anything that you can do to switch that. Take a moment, doesn't matter. Negative thought, start tapping the desk. Do something, anything that switches your brain from that thought to something else. Just like when you see people being nervous or fidgety or really they're getting agitated and they start doing things like this. That's them. They're not even knowing that that's what they're doing. That's their body's way of trying to self-soothe with the only tool that they have. And that tool is helpful, I'm sure, but at the end of the day, it's just one tool, and sometimes the amount of extreme and the amount of trauma and the amount of anxiety is so overwhelming, one tool isn't enough. But if you added that with the breathe, with the breath work, with the space, the get up and go for a walk, the boundaries, I'm not ready to process this right now. So speaking it into existence, right? I need space for this. I don't have the capacity right now to have this conversation. So I need to process and we can come back to it. Sticking up for yourself is always going to be the best thing you can do. Welcome, DG and Hero. So the whole idea is just that when you can figure out that safe space for you and get yourself back to that, and then have something in that tool belt that you can pull out in those spaces where, life gets overwhelming, where the chaos and stuff makes you feel unsafe, you get to do things and you can pull something from that tool belt, and maybe 2 or 3 or 4 tools, right? And you can take what you already know and what you've already used that starts to work and add 1 or 2 of those. And now you're not scrambling. You're not trying to figure out. You're like, okay, I already know this is going to happen. This is where we're at. So I have this tool and this tool and this tool. And all of a sudden you're focused on your tools and you're pulling and you're using them, that you forget out, like, this isn't happening anymore because you've already processed it out, not even understanding. And you do it so quickly, sometimes you have to step back on the other side and go, wait, how did that just happen? I'm not upset. I figured it out. I understand. I have compassion. I have understanding. Whoa. And when that happens, that's when you celebrate. I'm mastering me. I actually overcame that. Celebrate it. And celebrate it. Like, take time. Put time and attention into that. Because when you get to that space, man, that's a great feeling. Oh, I lost my card. Okay, so we have risk. Be aware or you will have to beware. Do not deny the risks and hazards that you see. The risk card is an indication that you are inquiring about, pardon me, what you're inquiring about involves a risk, either socially, professionally, or in rare cases, physically. Right. If you're allowing it to get you angry, if you're allowing it to get you to the point of explosion, that creates a risk, right? The idea is we want to catch that risk before we get there. If you do not see any risks, laws, or rules that must be followed regarding the situation in question, then you must look harder because they are there. Social media has made everyone a critic, so avoid subjecting your creative work and yourself to unwanted attention. Don't gamble. Be careful to use only supplies and techniques that have not been shown to adversely affect the health of people and pets. Make sure that your work does not use components copyrighted by another person. In the Kabbalah, plagiarism is the equivalent of murder because unattributed copying metaphysically kills the soul of the person who originated the work. That's interesting. Make sure you are not risking having your work stolen, copied, or damaged in some way. So this card's had me to protect my stuff too. And here's the thing. The bottom line is, if you take my work and you're using it, and it benefits you and it benefits other people, I don't care. Because I give freely, right? I'm not giving this. I don't ask for gifts. I don't ask for all of those things. I'm doing this. And if people are stealing it and making big money off it, then maybe they should share. No, I'm just kidding. But the idea is that you have a tool belt. You have something there, right? We're not here trying to steal other people's things. We're not worried about that because we're creating what works for us. Taking a little bit of this and a little bit of that and finding a way to process it to your best benefit is always going to be win-win. Okay, and when we get to that space of risk is when we are exploding because we're afraid of using the tools or of listening or saying, like, we're questioning all those things and we just keep piling it on and eventually it's going to explode, and we don't want to do that, right? And I don't explode because I'm so used to people taking my stuff and my ideas that if they use them and it was beneficial and helped people, I don't care. I'm not here to fight wars over those things. What I am here is to share the message and get it to as many people as it can possibly help. 11:34 on the clock. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, can I have a couple of the Starseed Oracle? Okay. You're not for everyone. Oh, yes, I knew that was going to come. A lot of people, I've went through this struggle as I was healing, because a lot of people would get mad at me for sharing these things and saying these things, and they think that I was wrong, but I'm telling you, tried and true, it worked for me. Can I tell you 1,000% it's going to work for you? No. Can I tell you what worked for me, and you can take what you already know and try some of these things or get curious about them? That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not telling you, I'm not diagnosing you, I'm not going to ever tell you that you must do this and do this. What I'm telling you is that I know that these have worked for me, and if you can take any one of these questions or any one of these ways to get curious, and if you can celebrate yourself every single time you do that, it's not going to end badly. It's always going to be beneficial to you, even if it's not perfect. If you ask that question, something that I suggested to you, and from there you find something else that works better, or something that is more beneficial to you, then you took that one question and it led you there. Okay, I'm planting seeds. I'm not here to fix you, make you be perfect. I'm here to help you along the way and just share what worked for me. And if it helps you in any way, shape, or form, then I've won. And I'm doing the right thing. And God will always have my back, right? Because when you're doing things like that, you're giving with no expectation. And all you're trying to do is help, right? You're not for everyone. 132. So also look up angel number 132, because that's usually when I have to look for it, there's a message, an extra message in there for you. Come on now. You're enough for everyone. There we go. The world is filled with people who, no matter what you do, just won't like you. But it's also filled with those who will love you fiercely. They are your people. You're not for everyone, and that's okay. Talk to the people who can hear you. Don't waste your precious time and gifts trying to convince others of your value. They won't ever want what you're selling. Don't try to convince them to walk alongside you. You'll be wasting both your time and theirs, and will likely inflict unnecessary wounds that will take precious time to heal. You're not for them, and they're not for you. Politely wave them on and continue on your way. Exactly. There's times you don't have to worry. You don't have to force anything on anybody. You speak your piece and you move on accordingly. Sharing your path with someone is a sacred gift. Don't cheapen it by rolling yours in the wrong direction. Keep facing your true north. Pulling this card means you're being called to embrace your uniqueness, to own your weirdness, to let the world see who you really are. To reveal your multifaceted, multidimensional nature, not to dim your light according to who is in your presence. To own all parts of yourself so that your people, the ones who are the same kind of weird as you, can recognize you when your paths cross. Amen. When we understand who we are, we have to get there by getting curious and understanding what's ours to hold and what's not. When you get to that space where you understand who you are, you become so empowered and you become so compassionate towards yourself first, and in turn, inherently, you do that to others because you've put in the work, and it's going to be reflected back to you. And if the people are rude or cruel, they're not your people. So obviously, why are you going to bother? Why are you going to care? You're going to politely say, okay, that's your choice, and you have a great day, great life, great whatever, right? Because we don't want to wish harm on them. They're just not our people. That doesn't mean we have to hate them. That just means we don't align, and I still wish you the best because that's who I am. And that's never going to change, right? So how can you embrace your weirdness and not care so much about what other people think? And I'm hoping through these little courses and contents that I am helping people see that, and I'm helping you understand that no matter what, even in your most stressed, anxious, traumatized, any of those things, you are inherently worthy. But it's really hard to understand that you're inherently worthy when you are busy trying to keep up with someone else's expectations or projections, or if you're allowing their projections to sink into you. So what I'm hoping is I'm giving you some tools, but I'm also empowering you to understand that no matter what you do, no matter where you started, no matter who damaged you, no matter who did anything to you, you always have been worthy of love. And when you start showing it to yourself, it really expands and creates those boundaries, and it says, no, I'm not going to let somebody treat me this way anymore. And that's really, if I can do that in itself, then I've won, truly. Welcome, Sevi. Welcome. Okay, can I have work your light? Just give me one, please. We want to stay on the theme, helping them break it down and letting the light shine through. We got Birthing a New Age and Lemuria, so you did get two. But this is true because that's really what we're trying to do. 92. All right. Often our path is exactly the one that we don't feel prepared to walk. Truth. Walk it anyway. Often what is rising feels far bigger than we could possibly hold. Be a container for it anyway. Often our creations seem to have wild, uncontrollable consciousness of their own. Birth them anyway. Often what is ours to do is the very thing that most intimidates us. Be courageous and do it anyway. We are birthing a new age. Right now, we're in a transition period between ages, in the process of allowing the old cycle to fall away and the new to rise. Like driving in the fog and trusting the road will appear ahead, we need to release old identities and ways that no longer serve us, using our intuition as a compass. You are part of a group of souls who have been incarnating at significant periods of history, preparing for this exact time, dreaming a new world into being. Magdalene sisters, daughters of Isis, Essenes, priestesses, witches, mystics, healers, seers, artists, midwives, visionaries, guardians of the earth, and storytellers from the past. It is time to give permission and space for what is beckoning within to be born. We are dreaming a new world into being. And when we do that from a space of safety, of security, of empowerment, and understanding of ourselves and what we want in this world, we can then give it out freely onto the world, and we're not giving it out with expectation. We're just sharing it and hoping along the way those that really need to hear it get to hear it, so they can use that, so they can birth their own world and their own creations and their own empowerment. So I'm open to surrendering to the creations that are wanting to be birthed through me. May I be of service in a way that delights my mind, body, and soul. Please use me, please lead me, and please show me the way. That's what we want to speak into the universe. These are the best things that we could ever do for ourselves. And in turn, we lead by example. How can you ever lose when everything you're doing is just proof of how you live? Okay, when you're a walking testimony, because that's just what you believe, and you believe that for yourself. So it's not like, I think you should do it because I did it. No, I know it works for me. And then people see it, and then they can decide, do I want to try that? Am I ready to try that? And if I am ready to try that, is she going to be willing to help me along the way? And not just me, I'm sure. There are so many people out there that when you make that step and you're willing to show up, hi Derek, good morning. When you're willing to make that step, they show up for you, okay? And they're going to help you. They're not going to do it for you, but they will hold your hand. And when you're stuck, they will help you find that silver lining that's going to help you overcome it. And that's what you want. You don't want someone to do it for you, because then it becomes enabling. But if I can help you when you're stuck and find that silver lining, not just me, anybody, then we're at a space where you're empowered. It's like they say, give a man a fish or teach him to fish. Well, hopefully what I'm doing here is teaching you how to fish, right? I'm teaching you how to process it, how to heal it, and how to do it from a way, understanding your boundaries, what you believe, what you know. But in those moments, those critical moments where you go into survival, where you shouldn't have to be in survival, but you go because that's a trigger moment and that's something you don't know how to process, I'm giving you something in your tool belt that keeps it from reaction to response, right? To understanding your boundaries and stepping forward from that space, and then saying, this is my line, you may not cross it. And understanding you're safe, and you're always going to be safe because you understand your own boundaries. So I'm hoping that in the tool belt, that's what I'm giving you. And if you never have to use it, that's fantastic. But if you ever have to use it, it's there. It's at the ready, and you don't even have to think about it. It's there. And that's really what I'm hoping for. And I gotta find Lemuria 114. Also check angel number 114. That one's a good one. They're all good. You're not gonna hear me tell you that there's a bad angel number. They have helped me thrive. They've helped guide me. They have helped when I didn't think I was ever gonna make it. So I will always support them. I will always talk about them, and I will always tell people, please take a moment and just go look, right? Because it's the best thing you can do. Is that a sword? Welcome. Is that the name? Sword? Knife? Welcome. All right. Lemuria or Mu is one of Earth's lost lands where heaven really was a place on Earth. A time before we were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, in Lemuria, life worked in harmony. All beings were seen as equal, and we were deeply reverent to Mother Earth. We knew that a mosquito was no worse than us and the sun no better. Perhaps you too believe that the heaven really can be a place on earth. Perhaps you are part of the transition team who at soul level are devoted to creating this kind of harmony on the planet now. Thank you for wanting to do this work. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the state of affairs on the planet right now, but you are being encouraged to keep holding the clear vision of the future. It is closer than you think. You may be guided to hold the frequency of Lemuria in your own community, family, workplace, or within yourself. Know that it is possible, and while at times it may feel like you are alone, you are truly not. There are hundreds and thousands who hold the codes in this ancient lost land, and even Lemurian crystals that hold the codes of remembering that are beginning to rise all over the planet. Keep doing what you're doing, and remember, the only way to heal the world around us is to first heal ourselves. Welcome, Weevo. I hold the codes of Lemuria and believe that heaven really can be a place on earth. And it's always going to be that place on earth. You don't look up, you don't look out, you don't go anywhere but inward. Because until you understand your voice, how are you going to know God's voice? How are you going to know who's speaking to you? How are you going to know what's not a program, right? And if we're going to we have to treat our body, we have to treat our lives. And it takes time, it takes practice. So I'm not saying we have to go fix everything perfectly. What I'm saying is when you start understanding that and treating yourself accordingly, that's when things really start to change in your world. That's when your empowerment goes, the fear disappears, and now you just walk through every door just like you own it. And that is the goal. Welcome, Anthony. Good morning. All right, can I have one Moonology Oracle? And then I got an angel number and affirmation, and we gotta go. Can't stay here all day, as fun as it is. Give me one Moonology Oracle. Some guidance on what we're going through, what we're processing, and how we can help move forward in the most empowered way. One. Okay, I said one. We're telling a story. All right, so we got the end of a tough cycle approaches. I'm not going to read them all because when it spits out more than one, there's a story. So we have the end of a tough cycle approaches, and that's when that healing begins, right? When you can understand that it's not going to weigh you down anymore. Okay, and when you understand that you and your loved ones are safe, processing that allows you the space, okay? It's going to give you that space, that clarity to say, no matter what happens, even if there's a fiery climax, even if something happens that is out of your control, you know no matter what happens, a win-win outcome is forecast. Because you have the tools in your belt. You have the ability to show up. You have the ability to say, you know, I got this. Even if I don't always understand it, I have these tools. And if I start with these, the space that I'm going to come out at the end, it's going to lead me to the answer I seek. And that is the most empowering place to be at, okay? Once we get to that space and we understand that when we have those tools in our belt, nothing can stop us. And truly, that's what I'm hoping to push. And I'll repeat it 1,000,000 times, I don't care. As long as somebody hears it. And it's always going to be that one person that needed it. And that's all that matters to me. Even if one person hears it, understands it, and can use it to their benefit, then I've won. Welcome, Sophie. All right, can I have one angel number? 1221. That was quick. I wasn't expecting that. Taking initiative. Transformation, positivity, happiness, communication, messages, good news, self-expression, high energy. Make the most of what you have, and it will lead you to new heights. Acknowledge your blessings and cherish your loved ones. Inspiration will guide you forward, helping you discover your path. Exciting news and positive developments are on the horizon. 1221. So when you start seeing this number pop up, all over the place. It's saying, we see you, we hear you, and pay attention to what you're thinking. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Pay attention to anything that you were thinking, because those are the ideas that are going to take you to your highest, best good. They're going to find you your path. They're going to walk you right into it as long as you start listening. Take those angel numbers, use them as guidance, and every time you see them, you may not have seen that number forever, and now all of a sudden you're going to start seeing it all the time, and you're going to be like, what the heck? It's confirmation of this message. It's confirmation for you to understand, one, that I'm telling the truth, two, that what you took out of it, yes, it's okay to use it. It's okay to apply it, and it's okay to trust it. And you'll see, you'll feel it, you'll know immediately, and you're going to be like, whoa. Because not only are you going to have confirmation, those things that I'm saying, the things that I said through this that you heard that really stuck out to you, it's going to pop right in there, and you're going to be like, holy crap. I'm telling you, when you get ready and you listen and you understand, it's really a beautiful message. And then when you start noticing the angel numbers, they show up everywhere. Welcome, Jonathan. Okay, can I have a couple affirmations for this message to kind of help show up, and ways they can affirm this in, the ways they can take those tools and use them and take these affirmations to the best place, repeatability and calmness and space. Okay, Ooh, you don't want to give an affirmation today? Are you saying I said enough? All right. I can forgive people quickly, release my resentment, and set myself free. And you may not have caught the message, but if you look and you go back and you watch this, I promise you this is going to be so much more aligned than you can even begin to imagine. I can forgive people quickly. I release my resentment and set myself free. This is your affirmation, because not only are you empowering yourself, you're understanding that every time you take these tools and you use them to your benefit, you're winning. You're winning, the people around you are winning, and you're leading by example. So no matter how you look at it, you're benefiting the planet. Okay, you're benefiting yourself first, but everybody around you. That was really great confirmation. I figured that's why I was shuffling so long. That was a little moment. But I have to, this is the end of the message. Hopefully that gave some clarity. A couple of tools to put in your belt for those times where transformation is necessary and a struggle and not sure kind of where to go. Those times you get stuck and you're not sure exactly what to do with it. Hopefully you can take some of this and carry it forward and put it in your tool belt. Also, I have my, the next one coming up. I don't want to lie to you, but I think the next one coming up is, I think it's the medicine within. Yeah, it's the medicine within. So keep your eye out for that one coming, and then 3 more days that will come through. Also, I repost, so at the end of this message, by the end of today, I will repost the live replay on my YouTube. So if you missed it and you want to go check out the whole thing, please, by all means, go to my YouTube at Creativity Guides Me. I'll usually post some clips from here too, and then I'll post a link to that one if you specifically want to go there. I appreciate it if you want to go check out my website. This is my logo, so anything you see with this logo, it's definitely mine. I put it up there. I created it. If you go to my website, www.creativelyguided.ca, you can check out, I have some guided healing journal. I kind of have a story of transformation called When the Villain Meant Well. Understanding that we all have the capability of being the villain in someone's story. And when we can understand that, we can hold a lot more compassion for ourselves and in turn others. And of course, we have my handmade teas. My gratitude tea is the backbone of this company. Check out the website. My healing content, when this one is done, will be going up. There'll be a section added to my website, so you can go and follow the links for a lot of these things that I'm posting, because the goal is to get this out as much as possible, to show love and to learn to show up for ourselves with love. So please, by all means, go check it out. My teas, my tinctures, my healing content, my art. However we can show up the best for ourselves and for others, then we're winning. I hope this helped, and if you want to check out the replay, again, YouTube at Creativity Guides Me. I love you guys. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for listening, and I hope you even get to take one little bit away. It will just make my whole day. Oh, and by the way, I finally got over 7,000 followers. And it took a long time because I got stuck at 6,200 and couldn't get past for like a year and a half. And then all of a sudden, everybody started showing up, and I don't even know, like a week, it went over 7,000. Super excited. That just makes me happy. That means we're moving forward and we're doing the best things that we can. Hi, user 4439. Welcome. I'm just about to get off here, but if you want to go watch the replay, you can go to my YouTube at Creativity Guides Me. It'll be about an hour or so before I get it up there. But thank everybody for showing up, and really, truly, I hope some of this message helped. And I look forward, keep your eyes out for the Medicine Within. It's coming, and then the live in 3 more days for that one. Have a great day, guys. Take care.